Joel will fill in the form what his recommendation was. Good evening. We'll call to order the regular meeting of the Apache Junction City Council. I want to welcome all of you here. We appreciate your attendance. I want to recognize Sandy Smith, our county supervisor here, who sometimes we forget because she's always here with us, and we appreciate that. Our invocation will be offered by Councilmember Insalaco and the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Sippel.
Our most gracious Father in heaven, we give you praise, we give you thanks for everything you bestowed upon us. The wonderful world we live in, especially the United States of America. Please keep your arms open over all our service people throughout the world, and also the people who lost lives in the tornado in mid-Florida. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Coleman.
Present.
Vice Mayor Eck.
Here.
Councilmember Dietz.
Here.
Councilmember Insalaco.
Here.
Councilmember Severs.
Here.
Councilmember Sippel.
Present.
Councilmember Waldron.
Here.
All members present to the form of honor.
Thank you.
Ask the council to take a couple seconds to make sure your microphones are on. We find out after the fact and it makes it difficult. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll call for a motion on the consent agenda.
Your Honor,
Councilman Severs.
I move that.
Sorry, I just got an important message and was in another zone, so thank you.
You are. I move that the consent agenda be accepted as presented, and that the resolution number 07-07, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, expanding the boundaries of the Superstition Mountains Community Facilities District Number 1 to allow sewer service to be provided to Desert Mesa Holdings, LLC, located outside the corporate limits of the city of Apache Junction, be approved, and that receipt of the comprehensive annual financial report for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2005 be acknowledged.
Second. Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Dietz.
Yes.
Councilmember Insalaco.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck.
Yes.
Councilmember Severs.
Yes.
Councilmember Sippel.
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron.
Yes.
Mayor Coleman.
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll drop on down the agenda to item F, call to the public. This is the time set aside at each of our council meetings for the public to address the council. If you wish to speak, you must fill out a request to speak form. You may fill one out now and hand it to the city clerk over on my right. When called upon to speak, please come forward to the microphone podium and state your name and address for the record. If there is a group speaking on the same subject, please choose a spokesperson. The council welcomes all of your comments and suggestions. Arizona open meeting law allows individuals to address council on any issue within the jurisdiction of the council. Council may not answer your questions or discuss your comments at this time. However, at the conclusion of call to the public, council may do any of the following: respond to criticism made by any individual who addresses council, ask staff to review the matter, or ask staff to place the matter on a future agenda. Council shall not discuss or take legal action on matters raised at call to the public unless the matters have been properly noticed for discussion and legal action. Due to time restraints of the meeting, there is a 3-minute time limit per speaker, and I've received quite a few requests to speak forms, which is not all that unusual this time of year, but the first from Ron Wade.
My name is Ron Wade, and I'm a resident at 310 East Whiteley at Apache Junction, and I'm the chairman of the Apache Junction Business and Property Owners Network. We have a few other representatives that I'm representing. Basically, thank you for allowing me to speak, Honorable Mayor, Council, staff, and guests. I'm here to speak specifically to the Superstition Square downtown project that you guys have on the an executive session on Thursday specifically. We just, we've been asked to kind of take a look at that agreement that you guys have been looking at with the LLC last Wednesday. And we just kind of wanted to go on record and say that we've looked at that in depth, especially with respect to the bullet points that were supposedly put in there. And we just think that it's a fantastic job of putting an agreement together. We think you guys have worked very hard at that. We've had every member basically in our group take a close look at it. Some of us have different varying levels of experience, but all in all, we think the group is really, we basically agree to that agreement. We think it's a great agreement for the city to enter into. With respect to just a few of the specifics, even though we just have a few minutes, as a landscape architect, land planner who's been doing work throughout the United States for the last 30 years, I took a real close look specifically at the master plan, and I think the master plan, I've seen some bad ones, seen some good ones. I think the master plan that's in that development agreement being implemented is fantastic for the city of Apache Junction. I think all the land uses that are proposed in there and how they're mixed are phenomenal. You probably know of Steve Nielsen and their background, but I think we have one of the best land planning groups working on that, and I think it's a great development. With respect to just a few other tools in there is, I guess I really believe in my heart, as well as our group, that hopefully we'll be standing here in the next few months with us looking at a specific phase 1 and exactly what's going to go into that, and that we will be, that project will be coming to life. And we feel that based on that agreement, that will happen. Just kind of in closing, we'd ask that you approve that agreement, assuming that is the final agreement when you guys do make that decision. And may God bless all your decisions and all the things we do here. Thank you.
Thank you. Charles Munton?
My name is Charles Bunton. I live at 1680 North Star Road, Apache Junction. Again, in discussing the downtown redevelopment, it is my understanding that the council has envisioned this area as a pedestrian-friendly town square. And if the project were to proceed as drafted, the city would not have control over the project's outcome. The marriage of a city and a group of investors must be homogeneous. Two groups who share something of significance in common: growth within the city of Apache Junction. The city and the council have an obligation to serve the community in a fiduciary capacity. The investment group has an obligation to make their investment profitable. The final question should be, should Apache Junction go ahead with the proposed agreement, one where it would have little or no control over the outcome? Or should other entities mandate the structural designs within the city of Apache Junction? The Business Journal of Phoenix, May 26, 2006, quotes the mayor, the council, and the city as saying they have a vision, and they want to implement that vision, but they want to do it right. Please, think of tomorrow, not today, and remember all those empty strip malls in East Mesa, and all those that have had to convert to thrift stores, used furniture stores, and discounted food stores to stay alive. Let's not make the same mistake as Mesa did. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ernest Imbolt?
My name is Ernest Imbo, and I live on 2835 West Cody. I am a property owner. And in 1977, when I first came here, Apache Junction certainly wasn't like it was. And I decided then that when I was able to retire, this is where I was going to retire in the moment I could. 3 months after my last baby graduated from school and went to college, I moved here. And I bought property, and I am a taxpayer. I'm not here to debate tax licenses or business licenses. What I'm here to ask is the legality of them. I've been called a lot of names. I've been called a peddler, a vendor, and I'm not none of those things. Check them through your entire business code. There's not one thing that mentions us. And because you didn't have anything there to cover us, or the few of us that trying to make something really nice happen here in Apache Junction, we're labeled. All the newspaper articles, yes, you agree we have a right to perform, display, and sell our artwork in public property. But the moment of sale, a content-neutral mechanism kicks in. Please explain that to me, because I abide by the law. And then, the second time, we agree you have a right to perform, display, and sell your artwork on public flora or private property with the owner's permission, but at the moment of sale, you got to pay taxes like every other vendor. Well, if I was a vendor, I agree. If I was a business owner, I agree. Because I pay taxes for over 40 years in my business, and I've been paying taxes since I was 7 years old. So somebody, unfortunately, no one's ever come to our art shows. Not one city councilman, no one, to talk to the people and see the good thing. We have brought people into this town from as far away as Winslow, Globe, Pine, even Scottsdale. Gentlemen, we just want to get this thing ironed out. What is legal? What is constitutionally right? Are you violating my rights? And if you are, I need you to help me. I need you to protect me. This is what you took an oath to do. And this is all anyone has ever asked. We never threatened anybody. Just look at it. Check it out. That's all we want. Because this last couple of weeks, we've had some art shows, and you need to come and talk to those people. We can't even get teenagers there because if you're right, they can't even get a license till they're 18 years old. So we're totally eliminating all these talented kids that come and ask us for advice. What can we do? And we can put a kid in uniform at 17 years old. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you. I hope I pronounced this right. Schweigert?
Good evening. I'm Char Schweigert, and I live at 1065 North San Marcos Drive in Apache Junction. And I'm very proud to be a citizen of the city. My father and mother lived here way back in the 68 and 70s, and it became a second home to me, and so I'm very proud of my city. I came here and living here now since my husband passed away. I am a senior citizen. I will soon be 80. I'm an artist. I'm an author. I'm a musician. And I like culture, and I do believe that this city needs more culture, and I think it's wonderful to have the privilege to be in that park and show my art. I bought a business license. I paid my taxes, but I want you to know that it was very, very hard for me. I am on a fixed income. I don't have a lot. And so when I went to pay my taxes, my books are for specific people, for specific subjects. And so I don't sell a lot of those. And I had to pay taxes of 63 cents, $1.06 in a month. Every month I had to pay something or send zero. It cost you money to have me on your tax roll. And I just wanted you to know that I just appreciate the privilege that you have given me to show my art, because before that I had no place. So that's all I really have to say. I'm not really taking a lot of your time, but I really appreciate my city and what you're doing here, and I just pray that there isn't a lot of development, because I love the history of this country and where we are. And I thank you very much for the privilege of living here. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Noel Benoit?
Yes, Noel Benoit, 900 North San Marcos, number 35, Apache Junction, Arizona. And FYI, just a short note, last night when you mentioned the 2.19 acre being the same as the Tomahawk project. The key factor in the Tomahawk project was that 3 or 4 of those properties were under 1 acre. One of them was about a half acre. So there's a drastic difference there. Easy to make a mistake, and I made a mistake.
One of these will be 2, actually.
Pardon?
One of the lots will be in the split, 2, will be less than 1 acre.
Well, when I saw you before, you said move the line up so that they both be about 1.1 acres. So I thought you were moving it up so they both be 1.1 acres. But anyway, I wanted to cover, a long time back, I made the mistake of having people write a bill, and they said it was through, and I called Game and Fish, and they said, yeah, we've got it, it's through, which is the free Game and Fish license for disabled veterans. And we have many disabled veterans living in Apache Junction. Many of those disabled veterans are still fighting for 100% service connection for their disabilities. In the meantime, a lot of them get the retirement as a greater benefit. It's approximately $900, which is about 30% below poverty level. And I got together with senators and representatives when I first got here back in '85. We got the law through somewhere close to 87, 88, 90, or somewhere in there. But there was a flaw in that. One portion of the bill said that the free license was not predicated on the percentage of your check, and the percentage of your check is actually directly connected to the percentage of your service-connected disability. Another portion of it said that they had to be 100% service-connected. House Bill 2026 is going in to correct that so that a disabled American veteran who has any service-connected disability and who is 100% disabled can have a free fishing and hunting license. And I would like you guys and everybody in AJ to call your representatives and encourage a yes vote on House Bill 2026. That will finally correct and finish the bill I've been working on for a number of years. Thank you.
Thank you. Tess Nesser?
Tess Nesser, 1511 South Cactus Road. Well, on a lighter note, it's this time of year again, everyone. Time for the Renaissance Festival. It starts this Saturday. Sorry if we crowd up the roads, but we're bringing a lot of business this way, so in the long run, I hope it helps. But what I always bring every year is these coupons, and anyone during the break or after the meeting tonight, if anyone wants any of these, it'll save you $20, so come see me. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleen Phoenix Hill.
Colleen Hill, 975 South Royal Palm. And I'm just here today to tell you guys thank you. You know, everybody that's been getting up on Saturday mornings and coming to Habitat and going to the groundbreakings and everything else, working on houses. You know, you guys have been great. We really appreciate your support. I appreciate your support. And yeah, keep coming out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phoenix.
Chip Wilson?
Chip Wilson, 128 South Star. First off, again, I want to re-invite everyone to the Black Stallion Literacy Project this coming 15th of February. We're going to be doing the second touch along with the Parks and Rec at the rodeo grounds. We're going to have the first class or first school to arrive at approximately 9:45 that morning, and the last school will be arriving just after their lunch, which is the Apache Junction School. And we should be there until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We're having schools, public schools, Apache Junction Public School and Queen Creek Public School. It's going to be coming out. And then we have chartered schools coming from Gilbert, Mesa, and Chandler. It's going to be a grand total of 5 schools that are going to be coming out there. We're having almost 500 kids. Please come out and see what's going on. And also I want to say thank you to Parks and Rec for all their assistance in getting this done. My second issue is the rules that were changed at your last meeting. In looking at the video, I was a little upset, and I didn't completely articulate what I was trying to say. First off, this is unfair to properties, the R143, that have large lots, especially if they're adjacent to GR. Where GR, you can cover 1/3 of the property, where in R143, you can only do 75% of the house, not of the property, of the house. It was mentioned that if you have a 5,000 square foot home in Apache Junction, you have a 3,800 square foot garage, or outbuildings totaling 3,800. I don't know of very many 5,000 square foot homes in Apache Junction. Most of the homes are anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 square foot. And this puts them at a severe disadvantage. Again, this new rule is unfair to the homeowners who own R143, and especially adding the requirement that they have to have an additional expense of getting the CUP. This rule does not allow someone that owns 5 acres to have any more. They're still limited on the number of square footage of their house, not of their property. I feel that if you could reconsider this, look into it, and make this a little more fair, because right now it is not. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Stephen White?
Steve White, 105 North Delaware. How do I use this? Hope this isn't taking my time.
Down to a minute left, Steve. Time's up.
Yeah. What do you do now? Do you use that?
There it is.
A lot of talk going on about our community art shows. How does that work? It goes that way. Here's some photographs of our community art show. We're talking senior citizens. We're talking moms with babies. We're talking kids. You know, these licensing schemes that I'm fighting you guys on, you need to be, Mr. Imbo touched on this, you need to be aware of the fact, under your own business license ordinance, as well as the state, you're not allowed to issue any of these licenses to people under the age of 18. So these licenses, by the mere nature of them, eliminate all opportunities for all kids under the age of 18 to go out and participate in free family community art shows in our public parks. Not only in this city, but all across the state of Arizona. I came here 3 years ago to deliver a gift from the children of Columbine to the children of this city and the state of Arizona, and it's the gift of art. I won't be dissuaded from that. I won't be intimidated by it, by anybody. I will deliver that gift. If it takes a federal lawsuit, I'll deliver that gift. There's a lot of business, a lot of talk about the taxes. I want you all to be aware of something here. The city government just recently went out and hired a law firm. There are the dates up there. I don't know if you can read it. Brown and Bain Law Firm, to basically find out about all these legalities I've been bringing before you. The city government has spent $9,493 on this law firm. In order for artists in this community to generate enough tax money to pay back that money, artists would have to sell $431,500 worth of artwork at this community art show to pay back the city for this money that you guys went out and spent on this law firm. You know, it just doesn't add up. These policies are destroying opportunities for senior citizens. Our seniors are censoring themselves and not being involved. They're scared. They're afraid of the statements by the city attorney, you know, about these tax licenses and all. They're afraid of being cited and fined. Our kids can't go out and even participate in any of this thing. You guys have a whole lot of exemptions for nonprofit groups. The sale of First Amendment protected material for profit does not diminish First Amendment rights. When you exempt all these nonprofit groups from expressing themselves and selling their materials, that it gets their message out to the public, and you deny us that right, you're in violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment as well. But most of all, business owners, you need to know this stuff. The greatest tool we have for drawing business and tourism down to the downtown area is the arts, not these facades and buildings and stuff. It's the arts. We need a continuous artistic presence in the downtown area. If you did that, if you exempted artists from these licenses and you encouraged artists in the downtown area, you'd bring in billions of dollars of tourist money into the downtown area. How do you do that?
Thank you. Wayne Standage.
Hi, I'm Wayne Standage, live at 1920 East 20th Avenue here in Apache Junction. I'm here to talk to you briefly about the accessory buildings deal that you've been working on. It came to my attention a couple of weeks ago. I've been able to contact a couple of you, but I wanted to just address you all and get it done at once. I find this kind of an unnecessary thing. Our population here is very strong in the retired area. And a lot of those people, you come here, you've got your hobbies, whether it's horses, cars, or carpentry or metalwork even. And I've got several friends who, as they've set up their places, they've got a really big shop, as big as their house, with their garage. And I just find an ordinance like this is hindering them in their ability to use their property. The other thing that kind of confuses me is you did a new ordinance last year on cleaning up properties. Good, it's needed. I've seen a number of places that could use it. But as some people have done it, they've apparently built outbuildings to put their stuff into and categorize it properly. And in turn now, from what I understand, some of the rulings are going to limit their size as to what size their house is what they can do with their property. Again, it seems contradictory to the statements I've heard you make and members of the city say, employees say it's private property rights and we don't want to interfere with that, personal rights. I find a contradiction there that just eludes me. Mayor, at the Leadership Institute, you talked to us about the eminent domain bill and the possible problems of personal property rights, that the way the bill was written like that in Oregon, which results in, billions of dollars of lawsuits sitting on file. My deal is, I wouldn't want to see us wasting our money on something like that when we can put it to a lot better use. And that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
We'll move on to, yes.
No, I got a few comments real quick. Actually, Ernest, I did stop by and see the art show. Just for your knowledge, I did stop by. I am curious, though, Steve, and it's not to make fun or anything, but you said there'd be billions of dollars from the art show. But unless there's business license and taxes, I don't know where the billions of dollars would come from. That's a sidebar issue, I guess. We'd have to discuss that, where that money would come from, because I don't understand that. I would like to know more about House Bill 2026, because I understand it as being a bill that would give a disabled game and fishing license. Is that correct? So afterwards, if you would, I'd like to speak with you. Okay, thank you. And the R143GR situation with the accessory buildings is supposed to be on tonight's agenda. It slipped by me. I think it slipped by a lot of us. I did not understand it. I thought I did. We gave up to 75%. Sounded like an awfully high number.
Does it mean I have to start from the beginning of the night?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. About that water that we need. No, it did slip by me on that, and in getting the Chip Wilson version of RE, you probably messed up on this one. I think we did. It's supposed to come back up on the agenda. It's not on for tonight, but our city manager assured me last night that he will make sure that it is brought back up for rediscussion, and we could make possibly changes if we deem necessary. So, and I definitely personally would deem necessary. So, thank you.
Your Honor.
Councilman?
One issue for the Business and Property Owners Group, that Thursday meeting is a public meeting, it's not an executive session.
They've left.
Yeah, no else.
You know, I have one comment about that also. I appreciate, Mr. Wade, that you've all taken a look at that plan. I need to tell you that that is not a master plan. That pretty picture is not a master plan. It is a conceptual plan. It's not binding. There's not 1 square foot of anything that is guaranteed to the city. The street placement on that conceptual plan is not guaranteed. It's total flexibility on the part of the developer for a pledge of major resources on the part of the city. So I don't want you to get confused with the conceptual plan, which is what's attached to that agreement, with an actual master plan. It's not a master plan. It doesn't guarantee 1 building will be built. It doesn't guarantee any of those things. So, and another thing that's in that agreement is eminent domain, which the city would be compelled to use at the request of the developer. And I guess you're all hoping that it's not your property that the city is compelled to try to go after, but there's some things in there that I'm surprised that you found no problems with it as you looked through. But perhaps that is because of the misunderstanding that that is not a master plan. It doesn't guarantee 1 square footage of retail, doesn't guarantee us 1 business, doesn't guarantee anything.
Wasn't it 30 months before we get a business plan?
Yes.
Something like that.
30 months.
30 months before.
So anyway, there are some things the council discussed last night and we're putting together, and Thursday night is an open meeting on that. We'll move on to announcement of current events. Is there any by members of the council?
Your Honor, one thing tomorrow at the Senior Center, we've been invited to speak there, but more importantly, there's a group called Generations United that's going to be here and doing a video. The video is actually going to be about the Multi-Gen Center, and they're actually going to take that video back to the Midwest, I'm not sure exactly where, and use that for a city council there. And they're trying to build a facility similar to the Multi-Gen Center, and they're going to use our multi-generational center as the example and produce that video so that they can show it back in their hometown, which I think is a tremendous opportunity for Apache Junction. So we're happy to have them here.
Your Honor.
Councilman.
I would like to let everyone know, if you haven't seen in the paper, that this Saturday is the Itty Bitty Olympics, so if you have any little ones.
Your kid's good at that, so you're always bragging, man. It's like,
I would. Yeah, my son will be competing again.
Yeah,
but
I just noticed I made a mistake. It's 26, 20, not 20, 26, 26, 20.
Sorry.
That's it. Nope, that's it.
I guess this is a current event. It was in the newspaper. Some of you may have seen a statement there by Mayor Hawker where he said that he had promised Mayor Doug Coleman that as long as I was mayor, Mesa would not cross the line into Pinal County. And I've been asked about that several times. He even referenced it in his State of the City address somewhat. And I would just like to tell you when that promise was made. It was made December 12th of this year at a mayor and governor summit after I had announced that I was not running for re-election. And he came out and said, yeah, he says, I promise I won't come across the line as long as you're mayor. And then all of a sudden, it's being picked up and that was a fact, that he wasn't joking. And I just want you to know, this isn't something that, some secret deal that we arranged 5 years ago or something. This was December 12th of this year after I had said that I was not going to seek re-election. And so for them to try to justify that, oh, okay, now Coleman's gone and we can start looking and at the possibility, that's totally wrong. December 12th of last year, yeah. I forgot January starts in a year. But it was after the packets had gone, had gone out. So anyway, I just wanted people to be aware of that. It's immoral. in my opinion, to use that as the way it's being used. We'll move on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Bryant Powell, the Assistant City Manager, filling in for George. George is not able to be here, and I will carry on his duties tonight. I do want to read one wonderful announcement we received today from Senator Rebecca Rios. I'd like to read it, and then I will introduce Fred Baker. Senator Rios called to let us know that ADEQ, Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, already has an emission station for Apache Junction in their request for proposal for the new contract for the vehicle emissions program. As you know, we've been really pushing for that ever since we've been in the non-attainment area in the Phoenix metro area. The contract award is planned for this summer, but there is no estimated time yet for the construction completion of the facility. Senate Bill 1531, which extends the sunset clause on the program, is scheduled to be heard at 1:30 tomorrow by the Senate's Committee on Natural Resources and Rural Affairs. Senator Rios suggests that our city officials contact committee members and urge passage of the bill. The committee chair is Senator Flake, and the vice chair is Senator Gregg. I'll keep you posted. And if you need any contact numbers, please let me know.
Could we get those, please?
Sure. Senator Flake is 602 926 5219, and Senator Gray 602 926 5288. 5288. And would also like to thank Supervisor Sandy Smith, who's also been a huge support on this. So with that, I'll invite Mr. Fred Baker to please come forward. Mayor and members of the council, I'd like to introduce Fred Baker. He is our new planning manager who will be serving in the Development Services Department. Fred comes to us from La Quinta, California, over 12 years there, and then served a couple of years in Las Vegas, as well as Scottsdale for about 13 years, and has done over dozens and dozens of master plan communities. We're pleased to have him on board. Fred, I don't know if you'd like to say anything briefly.
Well, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I just want to say thank you for that introduction, Brian. And I'm happy to be here. I'm looking forward to joining the HA team, becoming a participating member of the team, and want to thank the Development Services Department for my first 2 weeks, making it really easy to transition into a new job. It's going to take a little time to orient myself. And I look forward to the challenges and the opportunities that the future of the city will bring. Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have one more introduction tonight. I'd like to turn the time over to our police chief, Chief Walp.
Honorable Council, council members, staff, good evening. Chief Walt, Apache Junction Police Department. First, on behalf of the department, I want to personally thank staff and the council for last year approving in this fiscal year's budget a new position, crime scene technician, full-time, giving us the funding to go nationwide to find an individual to fill in that position. A milestone is occurring within this hiring in that the police department has never had a full-time crime scene technician, ever. And therefore, this is a first for the city, which means that in my position, many crime scenes in the city, not our major ones, but a lot of our crime scenes were never really processed, and a lot of evidence was left at those scenes, whether they're hairs, fibers, DNA, fingerprints, and the like. The concept that no criminal can commit any crime without leaving something at the scene, to me is a solid proposal, and with the hiring of this young lady, we're going to fill that gap. Ms. Stephanie Bourgeois comes to us from the state of Vermont, and she has indicated to me when she left there a few days ago it was 23 below zero without wind chill. Oh, man. So she is happy to be here in Arizona. Just a few things on Stephanie. Stephanie has a bachelor's degree with a major in biology and a minor in chemistry from St. Joseph College of Maine. She has an MA of forensic science with concentration on crime scene investigation from George Washington University. She has left the position in Maine as an assistant scientist for Mylan Technology, a leading U.S. pharmaceutical company in the state of Vermont. Some of her background, and I'm only commenting on a few items, is programming and measuring crime scenes, 2D and 3D impression analysis, fingerprint and photography processing, autopsy analyses, performing physical and chemical testing of pharmaceuticals. She has performed research on muscle contraction in vitro, motility research on tissue, and cardiovascular processes. Stephanie's immediate family, lives back in the state of Vermont, but we certainly welcome them here, and she is our own Apache Junction CSI. And Stephanie,
Thank you very much. Just want to say I'm happy to be here. I look forward to joining the AJPD team, and I definitely will be enjoying the weather. And thank you very much for having me here tonight.
I must say, both of you, yourself, Stephanie, and the planning manager, the backgrounds are just absolutely phenomenal. Incredible background. Thank you.
Welcome. Glad you're here.
We'll move on to the public hearings, unless there is something else. Item number 8, application for a special event liquor license by the Elks Lodge for Lost Dutchman Days. And Kathy?
Certainly, Your Honor. This is an annual request, and it's done in conjunction with the upcoming Lost Dutchman Days. This request has been submitted by the Elks Lodge for an event at their facility, special event license at their location. As is our practice, we sent out requests internally to see if there were any staff comments on it. Internal staff approves and recommends approval. In addition, the fire district has commented they recommend approval. Their only caution is that the Brock truck that will be there from Johnsonville should be positioned so that it's clear of anything that's combustible, such as parts of the building. So with that, we've invited the applicant to be here this evening, just in case you have any questions.
Thank you. Would the applicant or their spokesperson like to address the council?
My name is Tom Kane. I live at 211 North Hilton, and I represent the Elks Lodge. As far as you're concerned with the trailer being around any flammable material, it's all self-contained, and there's no other flammable or any fire hydrant. There is a fire hydrant around back, but we do have security being performed by the AJ Rangers, so that's all taken care of.
Thank you. Is there any questions for the applicant from the council? Thank you very much. This is a public hearing, and I'll open it up to the public at this time. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on item number 8 on the agenda? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any further questions or discussion from members of the council?
Your Honor.
Vice Mayor.
Unless somebody has something to say.
Nope.
Go ahead. I think it's a great event. I move that the application for a special event liquor license for Elks Lodge, number 2349 for Lost Dutchman Days, February 21 through 26, 2007, submitted by Richard Jepson, be recommended for approval to the Arizona Department of Liquor Licensing and Control.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Insulaco?
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron?
Yes.
Councilmember Sippel?
Yes.
Mayor Coleman?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item number 9, proposed ordinance number 1288, case PZ-14-06, a rezoning request by Preston Stapley and Kim Eaton of E-Built Contracting. And Mr. Kennedy.
Your Honor. Todd, real quick, how big is this property before you get started?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Sippel, this is approximately 1.32 acres.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Once again, Mr. Mayor, members of council, good evening. Tonight what we're going to be talking about, rezoning request for Preston Stapley, Kim Eaton, PZ 1406. Here right on this image, we could see on Meridian Drive and then 16th Avenue, this is the subject site. This proposal consists of 1.32 acres, and the proposal is to be rezoned from TH trailer home site to CR5PD, multiple family residence by plan development. The purpose is to allow the construction of a 14-unit townhome subdivision. Here's a quick visual of the site. As you can see, it doesn't fill up the entire rectangle, but it just fills up the majority of it right there. Here's some proposed elevations. Right here's the front, and then right here's the back of the buildings. Some proposed floor plans. Here we have the entry, main floor, and loft. Conditions of approval recommended by the commission. Abundant landscaping for the perimeter of the subject parcel. Landscaping shall include natural desert landscaping that requires minimal maintenance and minimal water usage. It will improve the aesthetics of the structures and mitigate the issues of height as well, because we'll be getting to height in a minute. I mean, the proposed buildings are supposed to be up to 30 feet high. Conditions continue. The retention basins are required, as well as the playgrounds, and as well as the PlayStation points that were discussed, or that were consulted between staff and the applicant. The proposed unit shall be a minimum of 1,400 square feet in size, and as well as based on the images, the proposed images, as well as it would consist of southwestern architectural features, which are dictated inside the city's design guidelines. According to parking, ordinance number 1218, and one guest parking space is required for each dwelling unit. Street improvements are not required along 16th Avenue, but the right-of-way shall be preserved or reserved, I should say, and be partially landscaped and maintained through an HOA until such time the city constructs the road. However, street improvements with curb, gutter, and sidewalk are required along Meridian Drive. Mitigation measures for stormwater drainage will be described and implemented by the engineering review during the plat submittal process, and also the townhome development shall be open to all families as well. There we go. Three more conditions. The height of the building of these structures shall not exceed 30 feet. The setbacks from the property line to the building shall not be less than 20 feet, and the applicants shall disclose to the two prospective buyers that there is neighboring horse property. Oops. Okay, and that pretty much concludes what I have to say, and I'd like to open this time up for questions or comments.
Questions from members of the council?
Todd, what's the neighboring horse property? Is that 31H or F? C, do we know? What lots are the neighboring horse properties?
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, let me head back to the I believe, hang on just 1 second, please. Okay. I do apologize for that delay. Right up here to the north is where the horse property is, and in this case, parcel number is 1023401.
But neither of the two that you cross through to get to this are horse property. That 31H is not a horse property.
The two small ones.
The two small ones you pass through to get
to
this project are not horse property.
No, I apologize for that. I thought we were talking about this one. Vice Mayor, no, these are not horse properties.
Okay. I thought the one was too small, but I was curious about 31H. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Thank you. Is the applicant or their spokesperson here? Would they like to address the council?
My name is Kim Eaton. I live at 3826 North Safari Lane. I'm the owner and president of eBuilt Contracting. We're pretty excited about this project. We think that we've done a lot of research and a lot of planning into this similar product. As I've told different individuals through the city, we're doing these exact same units up in Fountain Hills, right up by the fountain, up off of Seward Boulevard. They're very great up there. The price point up there is $400,000. So they're very nice units. They're laid out very nicely and very open. They're very similar to Shea Communities. What they've done is they're classic community homes, townhomes. So they're very nice and upscale kind of feel, and we firmly believe that it'll bring great value and great buyers and great families to the city. There's also great things happening down on Signal Butte, a lot of commercial things going on, which will demand, residential people and people to come, and so we believe that this is a great area to begin to perhaps bring in families and where they can have children, and we've, like I said, we've spent a lot of time in trying to put together this project where we're not over inundating that area and that site with too many units, but at the same time we're making it where it will sustain itself, where there's not too little of units where then the homeowner association becomes too expensive. So it's a very, there's a very good science to it where you have to make it where there's a proper amount of units, but not too many units, where it, becomes too crowded. So we believe that we've done that and we've accomplished that. There's so many reasons that you've got the Superstition Mountains with views, and we believe that these units can capitalize off of that. We've tried to do our best in communicating with the neighbors and different people that own property there.
And how's that done?
We had personally, myself and I've had employees go and meet with the neighbors that we could personally and talk to them and presented the project before we even began this process. We met with staff and they recommended that be done, and so we went out and tried to talk to every neighbor that we could and just let them know exactly what we're doing. Some of them didn't have any comments, some were very supportive of it, and there was one, I believe, and I think he's even here tonight, that had some concerns that has horse property, and we realize that we all work together and try to accommodate for everyone, and sometimes people aren't happy with everything that happens, but we believe that once again this is a very good and positive impact on the city that will bring good families into the community, and will stay a very nice project for many years. We do building all over the valley, and so we're not here just to bring in another trash heap project, but a very solid project that we believe will last and be very, very great for many years. So,
Your Honor.
Councilman?
What do you anticipate? Do you anticipate going up to the whole 30-foot on this project?
Yeah, and part of the reason why is because the ground level is where the garages are. Once again, an important thing, rather than having exposed vehicles, where the hope is that that we provide garages, and that's the problem with it. The first level is where the garages are, and so that's why unfortunately they do get up in height. But at the same time, like I said, we have Superstition Mountains that are a very beautiful thing that I believe that we need to take more advantage of, a natural beauty that's out there, and so yeah.
Other questions?
I was surprised that you stayed below the 30 feet. Going a 3-story, I mean, that's amazing. I'm glad you did. I appreciate you doing that.
And that's what, like I said, we've spent a lot of time and money into making it where, we're not too incredibly high, but at the same time where we can make it all work and it flows and they work together. And like I said, we're doing the same project up in Fountain Hills, and they love it up there. They're actually using this project as a model for future developments in Fountain Hills.
I had one other question. The fact that you went out and talked to all the neighbors, I appreciate that. I'm glad that you did. I'm not too worried about the neighbors that are around your property.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried about the people that move into your property and become the neighbors. I mean, we have a lot of people that tend to move next to an airport and then complain about the noise until the airport goes away.
Sure.
And I'd hate to see that happen here. And I noticed that you are disclosing to your potential buyers that there are neighboring horse properties. How are you doing that? And what in the disclosure basically says, you know it's there, don't complain.
Well, it's part of one of the things that it'll be in the public report. We can release it in any kind of contracts and stuff like that. If that be, you know, we don't have any intention on prohibiting what's going on there. That's one of those things where when people move in, you know, it's there. And I understand your point where you don't want, you know, a few years from now having neighbor after neighbor coming and complaining.
Exactly.
So
Really good at that.
right. Well, and like I said, that's where it could be, it's put in the public report where, you know, that's recorded and documented, you know.
Is there any kind of a waiver that could be put in there, not only stating that, this may be for Joel, not only stating that, yes, I know it's there, but we, you know, acknowledge that it's there, we know it's there, we're okay with it being there?
Is that a statement or a question?
That was a question. We make something that says that.
I think you could always put a statement in a plat, however, or even an extra document that gets filed on the property, but I'm not sure that would be too enforceable.
Yeah.
But to give notice of, hey, you're moving next to properties that allow horses, that could be on the plat.
Well, I'm sorry to interject. One of the things that legally is, as I go through and plat this and have it recorded in public report and put in a homeowner association, there's very strict guidelines that the real estate commission will allow different things. And one of those things that it will have to be disclosed within the public report, that has to be spelled out, that, you know, horse properties are adjacent to this property and different things like that, where, you know, it's a public report, it's open to the public, and so if there were any problems in the future, it's right there in the public report. Hey, you were aware before you bought this property.
And they were aware how, though, specifically? You're saying
it will be. It'll have to be stated in a public report that, and
it's
whether
a title person.
It'll be all in the title
papers. Them of this?
Yep. They have. Yeah, that'll be part of what they'll when they buy one of those properties.
Want it to be hidden anyway.
Right. Absolutely.
I'd like to see them have to sign to it, that yes, we saw this, yes, we acknowledge.
Whether they read it or not, you know, that's up to them. But yes, they do have to. They have to sign.
And I don't know who's doing yourselves and that, but I know many times a friend of mine bought next to the dairy farm over off Higley, and 7 years ago the milk farm was going away in 2 years, and I said, who told you that? He said, the realtor. Well, they're still there and they're not going away.
Right.
So I don't want them to have the perception that, oh, it's there, but these folks are going to go away. It's, you know, and it's like, no, it's there.
Well, that's the thing. Once again, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah. Just as long as they're aware.
Part of that public report, that's the reason why the real estate commission has done that for a public report for similar things like that. You know, if there's future freeways that are going to go through a property, that has to be disclosed to a property owner. And that's the reality. But those are reasons of why the public report is there, so those things will be stated. So.
I can't tell you how many times I've driven down this road and looked at this property here and wonder, man, there's got to be something that can be done on this property. I don't know what. Something that makes it difficult with those two lots, but it sure seems like there's some type of project that could be done there.
Sure.
It's gorgeous.
Thanks.
Councilman?
When the title company, the escrow officer goes through page by page, they read those and they're reading it as they're signing it, because that's the title.
I just initial the bottom.
They're supposed to, but you're right.
They're supposed to. I know my wife's in title, so
but
also,
I'm right too.
Also, you're going to have a wall between the property, right?
Yeah, so there'll be a block wall.
There'll be a block wall. That'll be what, an 8
foot?
Yeah, just a standard, yep.
We've been thinking about closing Southern and Meridian so that people drive north to shop. Would you have a problem with that? We don't want them going.
We want to build it this way.
Just to let you know.
Well, I guess we better get going on that development so we can have that stuff happen. I know you're working on that.
That was a joke. We're not really closing. Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
This is a public hearing, and we'll open it up to the public at this time. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on item number 9 on the agenda? If you'd please come forward and give us your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Dwayne McWilliams, and I reside at 1415 South Meridian. I apologize for being kind of hoarse. I've been sick. Excuse me. I've lived there, I believe, about 14 years, and I have the horses. And I went to the last meeting, and at that meeting, my property was a vacant lot according to the pictures, and there were no horses or anything there. That's there because I brought that up, and that I live there. That's my home. We also own the 2 homes in front of that property, which that property is a T property. Yeah, but we're fixing them.
Okay,
We're painting them and everything.
No,
We're putting siding on and painting them and stuff, just to make them look a little more presentable first. Somebody does do something with this property.
Can somebody tap them?
Someone's bored or what?
John? Hey, John, wake up.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Just started to distract.
I know that when we approached the city before to do something with that lot next door, to put in a 4-apartment unit, 1 unit, they said we had to put the street Smythe in behind, and we had to do 16th Street. And I find it ironic that we're going to only have 1 entrance and exit. It's quite narrow, my opinion. I am not a designer, I'm not a developer. But all the other properties that are somewhat like this have at least an emergency exit aside from the main 1 entrance. And I don't know if the city is allowing this to be done, why that road, at least the distance of the property, isn't being put in, or why they don't have to do that for an emergency exit. And I appreciate the concerns you brought up about the horses, because those were my concerns, because I didn't want to just get kicked to the curb just because there's 30-foot buildings going next to my house.
Yeah.
And I've been there 14 years, and like I say, we tried to put something there, and the city just wouldn't budge. They said we had to put in both those roads, and I find it ironic.
How long ago was that?
8 years, 10 years. And I find it ironic now, when they would never let us even put a steel building on that property. My partner decided to sell it, and now they're putting a 30-foot with multiple units, and I don't know if there wasn't room for 4 units before. That's my concern. And the traffic, that road, they're already driving in my yard. If you drive that road every day, and you look off the side of the road, they go 50 miles an hour around the cars pulling in that Superstition Sunrise, right down the side of the road. And my concern is, if there's a lot of traffic there, and there's only one way in and one way out, I'm afraid there might be some complications. I'm not trying to stop completing the program, I just don't know what's right for that property.
Your Honor.
But I appreciate you letting me speak, and whatever you decide, I'll go along with. I just wish you'd take my interest to heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a big concern.
Hi.
Hi.
This is a beautiful facility that you have here. I haven't been before you for a couple of years, and you were in the trailers back then. Obviously, it's very comfortable. This seems like it's going to be a very, busy lot. I mean, a little over an acre and a third, 14 units, 1 parking per unit. Is this 1-bedroom units? I'm not from Arizona, but I know in California, I mean, everybody pushes for at least 1.5. I mean, at least minimum.
I think that's what we have here.
I don't know, I didn't really see on that picture if your drainage was, I mean, I didn't see any drainage. You have retention basins here. I didn't see any retention basins. Is there any way you can throw that up? 30-foot tall. I know this gentleman was speaking of what wonderful views that his people will be having. I can only guess that the people adjoining this property will also be speaking of this beautiful view that they will be losing. 30 foot, that's a lot of loss of view. I know there was another building put on over on Smythe, and I think that's kind of why all this you guys were talking about earlier about people only being able to put a garage, like 75% of the square footage of their house or something like that. But that building was so tall it like casts a shadow, and I mean if the neighbors, the neighbors wouldn't be able to see anything if they really cared, but I think they're friends. Okay, could you point out where the drainage is, and you only have one entrance for your,
Yes.
so the fire department doesn't have like an entrance and an exit, or at least an emergency entrance or an exit? And where would that actually go to? It's pretty tight over there.
There's potential access to 60 depth, potential.
Yeah, talking to the microphone.
Okay. All right. Let's see, the drainage is right in this area. Let's see, and then also, we have the open space where there's some other retention basins in this area as well.
I can't read your dimensions here on this retention basin, which is very skinny with the bar.
Mr. Mayor, there are several retention areas indicated on the site plan, including these areas here, basically all around the perimeter of the site. There is drainage retention, as well as a couple of open space areas. However, Mr. Mayor, we need to stress, as we have on other projects, we are not reviewing the plat at this time, where the applicant is basically asking for a conceptual approval of his site plan. The detailed engineering review will come at the time of the plat submittal. However, I can tell you that this drawing has been reviewed by the fire department as to the entrance of the driveway, and also a preliminary review by our engineer, and no significant concerns have been expressed at this point. And there is turnaround here for fire apparatus.
Your Honor? Rudy, could you talk about the parking requirements?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Ron, we did not give his name and address.
Oh, could we get your name and address? Sorry.
Jesse Salisbury, 308 G Street, Crescent City, California.
I believe that there's one guest parking per unit, as well as parking for the unit itself. So there's actually 2 parking spots for each unit, one for the unit owner and then a guest spot.
Mr. Mayor, our parking code requires for a 2 or more bedroom apartment, 2.33 spaces per unit. So each dwelling unit has 2 required parking spaces, and every 3 units would require an additional space. However, I think we're asking for above and beyond that normal parking requirement.
So it's more than just a one guest parking?
Yes.
Your Honor.
Yeah, you know what, let's go through the public hearing, since I've got that going, and then we'll let the council ask questions. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council on item number 9 on the agenda? Okay, hearing and seeing none, then I'll close the public hearing. Questions from council and Councilman Severs?
Your Honor. Rudy, is there a space anywhere on the north or south of this property where there could be an emergency exit, maybe gated for, I mean, if there is a fire, there's an accident, there's something?
Well, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Severs, there might be opportunity for an emergency access point right here. The reason we haven't requested one is because basically what's going on with 16th, and we found this out recently, there has been a dedication of a half right-of-way on 16th Avenue, and that is 40 feet. To the east of this property, across Mrs. Richmond's lot, there is also reserved right-of-way there, as well as kitty corner to the site, just north of the Meridian RV Resort. However, in this area right here, where Porter's Park is, there is no right-of-way.
Slide it up just a little bit.
Pardon?
There you go.
In this area right here where Porter's Park is, in other words, what would be the south 40 feet of the Meridian Thruway, that has not been acquired by the city. So we have a half right-of-way here and full right-of-way reservation in this area here. However, there may be opportunity for take advantage of this half right-of-way for an emergency exit.
I would love to see that happen. And how far is the distance from where the fire trucks, can they get all the way down there? If there was no exit, could a fire truck get all the way down to the south of this property to take care of a fire?
In this area here?
Yes.
Yes, sir. The fire marshal has not expressed any concerns with these access points.
Okay.
This is how many units, Rudy?
I believe it's 14.
Because, I think that Mr. Salisbury brought up a very legitimate point on another ingress because you are going in and you're stuck in a cul-de-sac and there's no other way to go out, where property owner does own property right up to Smythe there. There's no room to configure another ingress-egress out of this to be able to have folks have another alternative than just Meridian.
Well, Mr. Mayor, if I can interject here, I believe the access issue is probably a plat issue. It's not really a zoning issue.
And that'll be taken care of.
That should be dealt with at the preliminary plat stage. However, if Rudy has a quick answer, otherwise it's really a zoning, we're talking about zoning today.
Vice Mayor, Mr. Mayor, please keep in mind that much of this area was developed before the city was a city under county rules. There is a subdivision right next door, but only 30 feet of right-of-way has been allocated. So we have the same situation to the east, that there's only a half right-of-way allocated, as we do on the south side, where there's only a half right-of-way allocated. However, the right-of-way on the south side is 10 feet wider than the right-of-way to the east.
Private property to the west, though, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's private property on the west side, isn't it?
On the west side? Yes. This stretch of Smythe does not actually go through. Right. Even though it's a dedicated road, these folks have their properties all the way in their fence.
Oh, I see. That is not a thoroughfare then.
That's right. As a matter of fact, people tend to use this as the road.
That sure looked like a thoroughfare.
Yeah. Your Honor. It's not uncommon for us to approve something with one entrance and exit. We've done it on Ironwood with that project. We've done it on 16th with another 16th.
Ironwood's a horrible
Idaho.
project.
Yes, Bellagio.
Yes. So I don't want us to get caught up in that. I do understand if there's an option to do it, maybe we look at it, but certainly it shouldn't be a deal breaker because we've done one entrance and exits before. Yeah.
That's correct.
Any other questions from members
If
of the council?
Smythe went through, I would require it personally, but I did not notice that the map is not accurate to the actual road going through.
Any other questions?
I just noticed that in none of the presentation did anybody show the pictures of what this project may look like. I think that it's gorgeous. I wasn't up there on any of them.
Yeah, they showed them.
Yeah.
They showed them.
Up there?
Yes.
I must have been looking at mine at the time. Well, I think it's beautiful. I can't wait to see it happen.
Okay, thank you very much.
Are you okay, John?
No.
I'll call for a motion.
Your Honor,
Councilman Dietz.
I move that ordinance number 1288 be read by title only and the reading of the entire ordinance be waived.
Second.
Moved and seconded, roll call.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron?
Yes.
Councilmember Sippel?
Yes.
Councilmember Insulaco?
Yes.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Councilmember Deets?
Yes.
Mayor Coleman?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor. Ordinance number 1288, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, amending the Apache Junction, Arizona zoning ordinance by amending the zoning district map, city of Apache Junction, Arizona, changing the zoning district classification in rezoning case PZ-14-06, a request by eBuild Contracting represented by Preston Stapling and Kim Eaton from trailer home site PH to multifamily residence zone / townhomes by plan development, CR-5/TD, repealing any conflicting provisions and providing for severability.
And now the main motion.
Your Honor.
Councilman.
I move that ordinance number 1288 is read by the city clerk be approved and adopted.
Second.
Moved and seconded, roll call.
Councilmember Waldron?
Yes.
Councilmember Sippel?
Yes.
Councilmember Insulaco?
Yes.
Councilmember Deets?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Mayor Coleman?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you guys okay to keep going?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's keep going.
No, really?
Let's keep going.
Rick wants to.
Okay, let's take a short 5-minute break. We're going to put a clock up on the thing. And it's gonna come down.
It's my anniversary.
And a cane.
Yeah, but remember,
This is too.
What I'm saying is you would literally encourage artists to downtown area to be very specific. There's no creating tourism for downtown area. So you're not into the business.
I think that's the direction we hope to get.
Licensing policies have never resulted in any tax revenue from artists. All they've done is eliminated artists. And on the other hand, we have,
All the licenses have been services for license.
if we encourage the artists and we encourage
Turn this off just like that. Yeah, because I'm only using my PowerPoint.
because they like their fair. I find a lot of this game as a result of their letting it out the art festival while they're going on the phone and calling. But the point I'm trying to get across to you is, there's no uncommon revenue, tax revenue. It never has to be limited. Important is basically eliminating artists. There never have been any artists now. Think like you live here long ago. When have you ever seen an artist downtown? Until I came.
No, you know the gang name is C? Call them C. There's a lot of pencil work like I can see. Oh, I understand. Yeah. You're talking about and we've had other events with more after 2 days.
It's real easy to get into this misconception that if you're a business owner, like one, you're having to pay all these taxes, and it gets written up in the paper, why are you trying to do away with taxes? You know, that's why I brought up this issue of all the money that's spent on that law firm. My God, all the money could have been spent on after-school art program for kids or something, you know what I mean? I mean, think of the potential here if we encourage the arts to do this. That would cause so many tourists are now running out of one field and they're running out of 4 kids out there doing it. Look at how much money those guys are making outside the city limits. Isn't the big problem in getting those tourists off of 88 and off of Brown Road, off Edmond Road, and down to the downtown area? This was what my big fight against the art festival was in front of City Hall. We should have had it downtown. It wasn't drawing any business, any money to the tourists in the downtown area. If anything, they had, they had food and things, things around here. It was drawing tourism away from the none of the downtown businesses have that art festival. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Here's another thing about the exemption. Here's a funnier exemption, you like that. This is your own business license code. There's an exemption for opening photo studios. Right there. Not just for the photo studio, where you can sell photographs. So I can go open a photo studio downtown, be exempt from the business license, if I only sold photographs of my own artwork. So I can't sell my own artwork. Anyway. That's another one. Hey, thank you, though.
We just want to cover like all of Pasadena and maybe Royal Palm. If we had 25, 30 people, and I've got this many people in 6 hours, shit. We've got hundreds of people. Just put it down if you want. And that's what we need is word of mouth. Because word of mouth is your best advertising.
That's a long 5 minutes. I don't want to take a break.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Make sure his microphone is on.
Here we go, Connie.
We won't be able to hear the microphones now, John.
Yeah, we're up here.
Is this Ari?
Up here, Ari.
Yeah, we're up here.
He fell on the floor.
I just can't imagine sleeping through this meeting.
That's so exciting.
Oh, no.
John, I mean,
You guys, you've been working.
that's like sweeping through Star Wars. I just don't understand. Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute, this is on TV, isn't it?
You're on TV.
We had the cameras.
The whole place was turned at a 45 to the back of the room. I don't know if you saw that, but we all turned our mics off. So I'm sure they'll pick up the sound too.
You'll be famous, John.
We'll move on to item number 10, which is on for discussion. It is, and it is a public hearing. This is discussion on case AN-2-06, annexation of property at 3640 South Cactus Road in Pinal County. And Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This is discussion for an annexation. We're not voting on an ordinance at this time. Recently, an unsigned petition was recorded with the Pinal County Recorder to start a 38-day waiting period. We're having this meeting within the last 10 days of that waiting period, and once that is over, we'll be able to begin collecting signatures for the annexation. This is a parcel map showing the annexation area. As you can see, it's at the corner of 36th Avenue and Cactus Road. It's about 2.5 acres, owned by Desert Mesa Holdings. The current zoning is CI1. Once it's annexed, it'll be CI1 within the Apache Junction. The property owner is proposing to have an office building with an area in the back for equipment storage. There is a pre-annexation agreement between the city and the property owner. The property owner is Desert Mesa Holdings. They're allowed to connect to the sewer system before annexation is complete. The city is responsible for a building permit review, and the property owners are required to sign annexation petitions once they're presented to them. And this has the dates. The end of the waiting period is the 11th of February. At that point, we can begin collecting signatures on the petitions, and we have a year to do that and have them all recorded before the process is over, I guess. Are there any questions?
Yeah. Are the surrounding properties all in the city limits currently?
Not all of them. On this, you can see that the black dotted line show the city limits. So this whole area in here is County Island, yeah.
Okay. Wow. How is this property accessed? Is it from Cactus?
Yes, the entrance is here along Cactus. 36 does not go through here.
And the sewer main would go directly up Cactus?
I don't have that information for you.
I'm curious how much it would affect those other property owners to encourage them, you know, as the expense on possibly tying in the sewer. What is this Desert Mesa Holdings? What do they do?
It's some type of contracting. It's pretty heavy duty from what I understand. I don't know a whole lot about the company.
I was just curious. I never heard of them. I didn't know.
I guess they contract themselves out to larger utility companies. And that's about all I know.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mr. Eck, they make large water pipes and I think some other, it's another type of machine shop. If y'all remember, you passed a economic development agreement with them, pre-annexation agreement. In fact, on your consent calendar, what you passed was the resolution that allows permission for them to hook up to the sewer district.
Mm-hmm. Still don't know they made large water pipe, but okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Is the applicant or their spokesperson here? Would they like to address the council? Okay. Is there any further discussion or questions about the annexation? This is a public hearing, and I'll open it up to the public at this time. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on item number 10 on the agenda? Okay, hearing and seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, and we'll go ahead and move on to item number 11 on the agenda. 11A and 11B, proposed resolution number 07-06, declaring the City of Apache Junction personnel rules, repealing any conflicting provisions, providing for severability, and providing for penalties on file with the city clerk as a public record. And then 11B is proposed ordinance number 1287, adopting by reference the City of Apache Junction personnel rules. And Liz?
No, Mr. Mayor.
No, Joel.
She couldn't make it tonight.
Okay, sorry.
I'm going to sub in very quickly. Essentially what you have, because the document is approximately 76, 77 pages, we've asked that you adopt this by reference and declare it a public record. And what you should have is a red line version of the changes that Ms. Riley brought to your attention at the last meeting.
Looks yellow.
I'm sorry?
Looks yellow.
It's a yellow line version.
Yellow line, okay.
I just have to say it.
I had some changes. The most significant one is on page 79, and that deals with the standard of review at a hearing, at a personnel hearing. What should that standard be? And should it be hear all the evidence over again, or should it be did the department head act arbitrarily or capriciously? And in this case, we call it whether it was viewed objectively, arbitrarily, or was taken without reasonable cause. So it's a legal review issue, that's all it is, but it did come up in a recent personnel hearing matter. And so it's very good to have that blanket information in there. Other than that, there's some title changes, some table content changes. There's a definition of sick leave for immediate family. We went through some of these last time, hiring of relatives, some merit consideration, vacation leave issues. And I think the other one she wanted me to mention very quickly, maintains the city council's ability to amend the classification plan, but also allows the city manager to amend the classification plan when positions in salary group 59 and below are involved, as long as the action does not negatively impact the city's budget. Number 2, eligibility for annual increase is not tied to passing a performance review. Number 3, performance reviews conducted annually at a time designated by the city. And other than that, there's some spelling errors that were corrected. And if you have any questions at this time,
Questions for Joel for members of the council? No? Okay. This is a public hearing, and I'll open it up to the public at this time. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on either item 11A or 11B? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any further questions or discussion from members of the council?
Your Honor.
Councilman Severs.
I was just thinking in the standard of review portion, you should define reasonable. I'm kidding.
It wasn't me this time.
Your Honor.
Councilman.
Make a motion.
Please.
Do we need two separate motions?
Yes.
One, okay. I move that resolution number 07-06, the resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, declaring as a public record that certain document filed with the city clerk entitled City of Apache Junction Personnel Rules, repealing any conflicting provisions, providing for severability, and providing for penalties be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Sippel.
Yes.
Councilmember Severs.
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds.
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron.
Yes.
Councilmember Insulaco.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck.
Yes.
Mayor Coleman.
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Councilman Waldron.
I move that ordinance number 1287 be read by title only and reading of the entire ordinance be waived.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Severs.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck.
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron.
Yes.
Councilmember Sippel.
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds.
Yes.
Councilmember Insulaco.
Yes.
Mayor Coleman.
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor. Ordinance number 1287, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, adopting by reference that certain document entitled City of Apache Junction Personnel Rules, repealing any conflicting provisions, providing for severability, and providing for penalties.
And now the main motion.
Your Honor.
Councilman Waldron.
I move that ordinance number 1287 is read by the city clerk be approved and adopted.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Deeds.
Yes.
Councilmember Insulaco.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck.
Yes.
Councilmember Severs.
Yes.
Councilmember Sippel.
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron.
Yes.
Mayor Coleman.
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item number 12 under old business, residential solid waste collection, landfill, and recycling update.
Mayor, maybe I could kick this off really
Right.
quick. We're just going to get set up here. Back in October, you had asked that the staff research different options into trash, recycling, transfer stations, and landfill operations to look into contracts of other cities for possible options that may be viable for our community, and to bring back this data in February, first meeting in February. So here we are. Ruth's done the data. This will be her first presentation, so we'll turn it over to Ruth.
Ruth.
And I am happy to be here, Mayor and council members. Again, we are coming back to you tonight based on the October 3rd direction to staff, and we looked at several options with regard to solid waste collection, recycling, landfills, transfer stations, and we also looked at contracts from other cities to get an idea of what might be viable for Apache Junction at this time. Several individuals assisted with our research, and they are here tonight and available to provide additional information if needed. Pinal County Supervisor Sandy Smith, Chris West, who is General Manager of Allied Waste Services, is here, and Vince Murphy, who is Director of Operations for Post-Collection Facilities for Waste Management, is also here. Staff looked at alternative ways that cities provide solid waste collection and recycling services. While many cities in the valley are in the business of providing refuse and recycling services, there are two cities, namely Chandler and Gilbert, that have chosen instead to have exclusive contracts with one sole service provider. Staff also had the opportunity to tour several transfer stations and landfills. Based on staff research, we will present three potential options that might be viable for the city at this time. The first is to explore an exclusive contract with one service provider to include recycling. The second option is to support the proposed Northern Pinal County Regional Landfill. And a third option is to support a privately owned transfer station site in Apache Junction. I will go on to the first option, and that is to explore an exclusive contract with one sole service provider. There are advantages and challenges to doing so. Some of the advantages are that we might have continuity in the city and greater control by the city of working with just one provider. We allow for private sector expertise. We have the opportunity to introduce recycling to our residents by including it in the bids for services. And we have a reduction in the wear and tear of city roads, reduction in noise and air pollution. We might minimize traffic accidents if there are less larger trucks on our residential streets. And no upfront costs to the city for bins and trucks, as well as no operating and maintenance costs for those trucks. There are also disadvantages.
You're ahead of yourself here.
She corrected.
Good.
We need support and input from our residents to have an exclusive contract. A citizens committee or a series of public meetings to review the pros and cons of one service provider could be valuable. A committee or public forum could help to gauge the extent to which the community wants curbside recycling. And a recommendation from a citizens committee could provide guidance as to the next steps for the city. There's also a concern that without competition of other providers, rates can be increased. Additionally, we as a city might not have complete control of customer service or quality control. However, by including key components in a contract, many issues can be minimized to ensure quality service for the community. I will move on to our second option, and that is to consider the proposed Northern Pinal County Regional Landfill. For background, I'd like to provide a current update on landfills in general. The Apache Junction landfill, which is our closest landfill to us, is privately owned by Allied Waste, and it currently has a 10 to 15-year lifespan. The lifespan can change depending on volume and density, so that can fluctuate. The landfill in Queen Creek will be closing in May of this year. And then there is being planned in Northern Pinal County, about 26 miles from here, a landfill. It is currently owned by AK Mineral Mountain, and it's a former mine, but it does continue to produce decorative rock. And the Pinal County Board of Supervisors have asked area cities and towns to provide a letter of support for the landfill, and this would be an alternate means of solid waste disposal for Apache Junction in the future. This current photo is our Apache Junction landfill, and this is the southern portion of it, which will soon begin to get filled. And that is a photo of the proposed Northern Pinal County Regional Landfill. As you can see, it still currently looks like a mine in progress. I will move on to our third option, and that is to consider supporting a privately owned transfer site in Apache Junction. For those not familiar with transfer stations, I'm going to show you some photos. A transfer station looks much like an open warehouse. It can range from 20,000 to 40,000 square feet. What happens is smaller trucks just literally come into the transfer site, dump the trash, and then bigger trucks take it on down to another area, landfill farther away. This series of photos are from the Cave Creek Transfer Station in North Phoenix. It occupies about 13 acres, about 40,000 square feet. That's the back end of it. This is the inside of it, and this is a smaller truck that's dividing the trash. And then this is the Santan Transfer Station we had an opportunity to look at, and this is in Mesa. It occupies about 30,000 square feet. As you can see, it looks much like an open warehouse. This is the inside of the facility. They are sorting the trash. And as you can see, the larger trucks literally just come down on the side of the building, and then that smaller trash truck just kind of puts the trash right in. We also had an opportunity to look at the Cactus Waste Transfer Station. This is a little bit smaller. It's 20,000 square feet. And a transfer station in Apache Junction can be an option to reduce costs in the future for our residents. The closer a transfer station is located, the less fuel a company will expend to transfer the trash, thereby reducing our overall consumer costs. As solid waste companies consider locations for future transfer sites, one option for council consideration is to be open to supporting a transfer site here in Apache Junction. In conclusion, we have presented 3 viable options for the city. While there are other options that the city could look to in the future, and in lieu of getting into the trash business ourselves, staff is presenting the following for council consideration. The first is to solicit a request for proposal for an exclusive contract for city services, to provide a letter of support for the Northern Pinal County Regional Landfill, and our third option presented tonight is to be open to supporting a privately owned transfer station in Apache Junction. That concludes my presentation, and I open the question to Mayor and Council at this time.
Your Honor.
Councilman.
Ruth, great job on this. And my question is there any other way to just bring on recycling? Do we have to go to just one company? You know, you kind of lump the two together. We can look at going with one company and offering recycling at that time. My thought process is, can we just start recycling in the homes, or?
Well, Mayor and Councilmember Sippel, in looking at what other cities have done, it would make the most sense to get our bang for our buck for our contract and just do it all together, and that way it would reduce the overall rates for the consumer.
And I'm certainly not looking at that, because that would not do what I wanted to do. That would increase more trucks on the road, because now you could have 3 or 4 recycling trucks coming down your street too. So, yeah, okay.
The dilemma with recycling right now in our subscription service model that we have is that we have no way of, the dilemma is that recycling doesn't always pay for itself. And so.
No, it's expensive. We checked it out.
So if you say, Chris, right now we really don't have a way to say that Allied or Waste Management, which are the 2 prevailing subscriber companies in the community right now, they would have to pass those rates along.
If
and
I
it's
might.
tough because you don't know those commodities change frequently when it comes to recycling.
And Brian, I'd like to add just a bit more information. Based on talking with other cities, while recycling might look like it's going to be an expensive option, they actually look at offsetting their solid waste costs. So it kind of evens things out, because you're lowering the amount of trash that you're sending, which you're paying per ton to send to a transfer station or to a landfill. So they look at things as a whole rather than separately, because everything offsets costs in different ways.
And normally what they do, if we did go to a curbside, and instead of having, 6 trucks running up and down the street every day, we would have, like, we're on a Monday, Thursday now, so Monday would be a trash and Thursday would be a recycle.
Correct,
So
that's how most people do it.
There wouldn't be any increase in truck traffic or anything on the road.
Correct.
There wouldn't be an
But Ruth, your suggestion in this, though, is option, you have the 3, the one is going with one specific company, is what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that we should do anything. All I'm saying.
Consideration, and then it's got these 3, so I'm reading this as if consideration is the soliciting a request for proposal.
Well, actually, we're actually doing them as 3 separate things.
Yeah, I like 2 and I like 3.
That's where I am.
I'm not quite sure about.
1, I don't want anything to do with, because I've been through that battle, and people in Apache Junction want a choice because they're used to it, and they like the competition. And you can tell them you're saving roads and all that, but they are used to that choice.
And I agree, Ari, after, bringing this up and talking with the community, I agree with you on that. But my goal was twofold. I really think we need to look more in depth with the recycling. And, Councilmember Dietz mentioned a good point. Maybe we had garbage pickup on Monday and recycle pickup on Thursday or something like that. I certainly don't know if we can clump something like that together. But then again, you've got the people
go to an exclusive.
Because then some people may have recycling, some may not have recycling. Yeah, you're right.
And the provider who goes for that RFP and actually bids, I believe, I don't know what Chris or the gentleman would say, but I think they're going to want to know exactly what
who's going to have it, how much are we going to have? Vicki, I agree. Okay, well, I've got a
And-
motion.
Can I ask you, Brian, how the Mineral Mountain meeting went and that on the regional landfill?
Actually, it went very well. Ruth met with the gentleman, and exactly how it came out, we believe as staff it would be a good idea to go ahead and support a letter.
Did folks know about that? I mean, up here to Mineral Mountain, the regional landfill
There's been-
possibility?
Mayor and Vice Mayor Eck, there has been a lot of stuff in the paper, articles about what's going on.
I met with their representative, and to me it was phenomenal. It's out, perfect location, it's kind of a bowl out in the middle, and there's still room for ATVers, and had the support, I believe, of the Board of Supervisors, Cindy. Excuse me?
I can address it if you want.
Can she?
Of course.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we have modified our comprehensive plan so that it would be allowed should it go through the zoning process. I would tell you that I'm not sure, even if you had a regional landfill, and we have to look to Superstition Vistas and what's happening in there and all of that state land. So we need to look at how are we going to provide. The transfer station site is not something that you should scrap, because what are you going, who's going to haul all the way down? And would you want to have it all over here? So I think that you need to look at all of them and how they fit into one another, and I'm sure that Allied or Waste Management would be glad to address some of that too. We do recycling in 20 communities, and we're willing to expand that, but if we were to expand it in our cities, they would have to help by coming up with more money for more times to pick up. We are right now, over a weekend, we will fill up some of the sites, especially on the county complex site, with the recycling. And so in order to do that, we'd have to have more ways to do that and get it to the recycling companies. So it is something I think that the citizens really support, is the recycling.
Oh, they like it.
And it goes in with our land preservation that we want to do and our land planning that we're trying to do, so that we're not just letting things happen. And this is one of the issues that we're going to have to address, and not one solution is the correct one. I think it's
Sandy,
going to take...
Mineral Mountain, though, that was supported by the...
Yes, we voted for the comprehensive plan change in order to allow that to go forward. It's in Supervisor Reese's district. It's just right across to mine. It's off of 79. There's a lot of misconceptions as to where it is.
They showed me, and I just... I thought it was a great location. I really did, because it's in a big bowl, basically.
And they were going to put our of it into, they wanted to bring all of the land that they had into the landfill, and instead, I believe, and I'm not going to be held to the amount, but 30-some acres they pulled out of it to be a buffer and to be able to preserve that, so they can buffer up next to the land that needs to be preserved. So. Again, I think that we're going to have to look at all of these comprehensive plans, and how do you deliver the services, how do you recycle, and even if you do a regional landfill, you're still going to have to be looking at those issues.
Sure. We would hopefully take our transfer station maybe to that, who knows. You have a county employee who works with recycling. She came and spoke to us.
Kim Silvers is retired, and but we still have.
I know her. I didn't realize it.
Yeah, and so, but we still do that, and we've added our Parks and Trails person on, so, and we're coming forward with our comprehensive plan, which will be coming to you to present, so that we can cooperate with you. So we're really interested in partnerships and going forward.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, maybe one other item to think about is Supervisor Smith brought this up in terms of the land south of Baseline. Maybe that's something to work with the developer on, and if there is a way to think of an exclusive license agreement for the folks coming in south of Baseline. I'm not sure if the council's even interested in entertaining that idea of the request for proposal for a certain area of the community.
I don't know how that would go.
I think it'd be too complicated myself.
Maybe, okay.
Yeah, why should
How
we
come they
get a
have
choice
to?
up here and
Yeah.
not?
Councilman Sippel.
I'd like to make a motion, Your Honor. I move that the following direction be given to staff regarding residential solid waste collection, landfill, and recycling, that the city will provide a letter of support for the Northern Pinal County Regional Landfill, and that the city continue to look at a transfer station site in Apache Junction to run contiguously with the closing of the landfill. Maybe, as the landfill is getting ready to close, maybe this transfer station is getting ready to open, so it can still help to alleviate some of those costs in gas.
Second.
Moved and seconded, roll call.
Councilmember Insulaco?
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck?
All of that, correct? Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Waldron?
Yes.
Councilmember Sippel?
Yes.
Mayor Coleman?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any council direction to staff?
Thank you, Ruth.
You know what? I would like to just briefly reopen that, our current, our announcements, because my cousin is in Florida, and I thank the Lord, because, where she lived, 2 tornadoes hit, and literally one hit one side of her house, took out about a quarter-mile of homes, and several friends of hers have perished, and the other hit directly next to her, the other side of her home, and the same thing for about a half-mile strip. Her home is the only home left, and probably a square half-mile area, and she's, probably lost a dozen friends in that, and she survived, so I'm very thankful. Very thankful.
Item number 13, selection of meeting dates, times, locations. Councilman Dietz.
There will be no work session for Monday, February 19th, 2007, in observance of President's Day. And I move that an executive session at 6 p.m. and a work session at 6 p.m. be held on Tuesday, February 20th, 2007, in the City Council Conference Room and City Council Chambers, respectively.
What about the one right now?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, there are 3 items left on the
Go ahead,
executive session. If you want it, I don't know, it's up to council if you want to go upstairs and talk.
Yeah, we don't have to do that
Chris.
here, do we?
Chris? No.
No, okay. Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Somebody second that?
Yes.
Okay, Vice
Trying to
Mayor
give him
Eck?
the stuff.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Councilmember Waldron?
Yes.
Councilmember Sippel?
Yes.
Councilmember Insulaco?
Yes.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Mayor Coleman?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and adjourn. And council, remember, we have an exec session to finish upstairs, so if you would please.
Yes.
All right, we started as soon as
Hi. I gotta go upstairs, yeah. No, it's at 4 o'clock Thursday afternoon, and it's not a public hearing, it's a public meeting, but it's not a public hearing. So the public will not be entitled to speak.